Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hero News. Kia ora, Chewy. How are you, sir?
Kia ora, Pat. I'm very good.
Busy.
Well, very busy this evening, yes. I was catching up with an old friend of mine and someone who hangs out in our chat every now and then.
Nice.
So, yeah, we're setting the world to rights over a couple of beverages down at Wolf here. And,
so is everything, have you sorted everything? Is everything sorted?
We've solved everything.
Oh,
everything. Look, there's going to be some changes. I'll put out a PDF to everyone later so we're all on the same page. But yes, everything's fixed now.
Changes are
Big
afoot,
news.
are they?
Big
very
news.
Good. Oh, very good. I'm glad that someone sorted everything out, Chewy. And if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be you, wasn't it? Hey? You, wasn't it?
I said there'd be changes. I didn't say there'd be good changes.
Kia ora whānau. Welcome along. I think we will open Discord tonight if people would like to do Discord. But Chewy, I've got a bit of an idea. People all know that I used to work for ZB and used to do Talkback. When we did Talkback, we actually threw out topics. I reckon tonight we do this.
That's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah, I reckon tonight we do this. I've got a topic for you to talk about tonight. We'll give away some merch for one person who calls us during our Discord call-in. It's not ready to go now, so don't bother, but we're just giving you a heads up. I would like to hear what people think about this. What do you think, people? I'm wondering, obviously, within our chat right now, watching right now, because of who we are and where we sit politically, there's probably a fair amount of people who support the cause of Just Stop Oil. I want to know what people think about this as a protest for Just Stop Oil. Stonehenge, painting it orange, and getting arrested for it. So I reckon if we do Discord tonight, which we're looking at doing, I'd like to get the vibe of what people think about that, because I think there are many angles to that. So, and look, people are already going to start talking about it in the chat, and the people from Just Stop Oil say it'll wash away, it's no problem. People from Stonehenge, though, there's apparently a protective surface over Stonehenge, and they say even though it's not permanent paint, it still may damage the protective surface. And, you know, that could easily flow into conversations like throwing paint at the Mona Lisa and that kind of stuff as well for Just Stop Oil. I'm not going to actually offer anything about that right now. I'm just going to ask you, what do you think of the way Just Stop Oil is protesting? You could probably also lump into this conversation the, you know, walking slowly down the road and holding up traffic, especially in London. It seems to happen most of all this kind of way as a way of protest. So we'll do Discord in the last part of the show. We'll give away a piece of merch to one person who gets on board Discord. And that's what I'd like to hear from you about. What do we think of how Just Stop Oil is protesting? Now, if you want to call up and talk about that and have something else you want to throw in as well, that's fine. But I just thought maybe tonight, Chewy, we could do a little bit of, I was going to say guided meditation, but whatever the version of that is for guided talkification or something. Just to see if people...
Good idea.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Also, without taking too long on it, remember, this is the last night for you to get this month's merch. Remember the specials this month, the crew t-shirt. That's basically a one-off as a birthday surprise for both me and Chewy, having our birthdays this month, and George, who is an OG, and Jason, who is our technical guy. All have the birthday within 4 days of each other. So we thought, even though this is normally for patrons only, and because I haven't quite figured out the patron page for purchasing yet. You can get a crew t-shirt this month. That won't be there next month. It's a bit of a surprise for this month. And also, of course, this month's buffer gear. It's a navy blue t-shirt, navy blue hoodies with yellow buffer writing, and it's to support the Cancer Foundation. Last night to purchase that stuff. I'll make the order tomorrow. If you made an order last week, I have the merch in my house right now. That'll be getting put together, and it'll probably end up being on the courier on Monday morning, because even though I'll do it tomorrow, it'll probably not be in time for a tomorrow pickup. And remember, last thing to remember about this, 25% of the profits go to the Cancer Society from the sale of buffer gear only, and then we match that. So BHN will match that, right? And then we've got one person, a listener, a viewer, who says they want to match it as well. So you buy some buffer merch in the next kind of 12 hours, you make a donation in that buffer merch to Cancer Society, we match it. Yeah, I did fix the spelling. So someone else, some generous person matches it. And if you buy buffer gear this week, you'll get another piece of merch thrown in for free. It'll be a Beardy Boy top, hopefully matched to the size buffer gear you buy. But if I've only got a few left, if we don't have your size, then we will just send you a top and you can give it to someone else. There we go. That's the whole big sale for today, Chewy. So I have a pre-recorded conversation today. If you are a patron, you've already seen it. Well, you've had the opportunity to already see it if you've had time to watch it. And it appears that on the news tonight, the topic that we're covering off kind of was one of their leads. So we've sort of got ahead of it a little way. I'll give you the synopsis, although I won't go into the details now. There is accusations by some within the nursing society, nursing areas, that Te Whatu Ora has said we are going to put a freeze on employment. Of course, the concerns are they're relating that all to the cutbacks that this government's making. Te Whatu Ora has come out and saying, no, there's no freeze on employment, but there's apparently 1,800 new graduates who are concerned they're not going to be able to get placements. And the thing about Te Whatu Ora is, my understanding, right, and you'll hear it in the interview, is it's really important to get placed with Te Whatu Ora because it's a bit like when you start off as a teacher, you spend the first 2 years sort of, even though you are teaching, you're a teacher, you have sort of a monitor over you, like a beginner teacher has a teacher in charge of them to help them through. That needs to happen for the first year of nursing. And Te Whatu Ora has a very good system for that. The local rest home down the road, not so much. So it's really important that these graduating nurses get a Te Whatu Ora position, and that's the debate going on right now. The head of Te Whatu Ora made a right proper goose of herself when the media tried to talk to her, basically ran away from the media, wouldn't answer questions, and then they refused to show up to media who have a lot of questions for them. So it's all looking a bit weird. So tonight, for a good portion of the show, we're going to be looking at that story from TVNZ, and we're going to be listening to an interview from one of the people from one of the nursing unions, basically, as to what they see about the whole thing. And of course, the other thing is we've got to talk about the C-listers. That's the other thing we're going to do tonight, Chewy. Is there anything else you want to share with the whānau before we kind of get going? This first story is a bit of a quick one, actually.
Man, from the sounds of it, it's real lucky that we've got too many nurses, right?
Well,
that's a problem. Just too
this
many
is
nurses in the
one of the
hospitals.
problems is, and I don't want to I'll keep the powder dry in my interview with the nursing organisation of New Zealand, or the NZNO, I think it is. Anyway, they said that in the space of 12 weeks, Te Whatu Ora's gone from saying there's 4,000 short to there's 2,000 too many. So this is all the strangeness that's going on at the moment. Just someone magicked them up as a way to then not have to employ new nurses, perhaps. I'm not sure. Anyway.
I mean, that's something I hear quite often from my sister who's a nurse.
Yeah.
That there's not enough work, and, she spends a lot of her shift relaxing. And certainly not doing extra overtime and stuff like that. So it's probably got something to do with that, right, Pat? Right? That's something that's actually happening.
And look, I've been quite inundated with people about this. People really care about this story. And even though this is a part of the story, I'll show you a tweet that went out today by Fee McGee, an entire graduating class fucked over by this government. Hospitals already under already under a hiring freeze, hoping these nurses would fill the gaps. Rest homes, now the only new grads only option on low pay, benefiting the business model of the government's donors. And I've been getting tagged in all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Shout out to those of you that messaged me on various platforms and obviously messaged Pat. This is the big reason why we're talking about it tonight.
Yep, another one here, and I won't read out this person because it's come to my personal message. Thank you for jumping on the nurse hiring freeze. My partner is a third-year nursing student. Today was at ACE scheme introduction workshop. You can imagine the scramble to try and explain what's going on. I haven't told that person that I would use their details, but I'll just say to you, it's coming thick and fast. So there's something going on, and it seems that the nurses are saying the opposite to what Te Whatu Ora is saying. So someone's full of shit. And, you know, I know Duncan Garner covered it this morning with a leaked document. I've been sent an email copy of the conversation between the nurses and the union. It doesn't look like it's the nurses. And Chewy, it just smacks, I guess we're kind of starting this now, aren't we? It just smacks of this government looks for cutbacks. They want cutbacks, 6.5%, 7%, whatever it's going to be, yeah? And then they say, but the chief executives, the CEs have complete control. They have complete control. They can do whatever they want. We just need the cutbacks. It kind of smells of either the chief executive, because remember they're talking about performance pay as well. The chief executive is trying to figure out a way to just basically save the money. But if that was the case, if that's all it was, I would expect the CE to go, look, my hands are tied. I have to do it. I wouldn't be doing it unless I had to. But to kind of not engage in the conversation and run away, I'm just like, what's this? It feels different. You know, we've had like, which one was it? The NZTA, Waka Kotahi. We've had messages come out from them saying they're keeping on using Waka Kotahi. You know, like they're actually, you can get the vibe that they're pushing back. Te Whatu Ora, I don't get that vibe. Now, I am just making an assertion based on nothing other than kind of how it feels. So fair cop if I'm completely wrong. But as I said, you would expect that if a chief executive wasn't happy, they'd front the media and say, nothing we can do about it, not our choice, not that happy, have to do it, being told. Just like the whatever part of the health society talked about the suicide prevention office being shut down. They just went out and said, well, we have to do it. And the government went, whoa, don't do that, because it was bad press. So there are plenty within the government agencies who are speaking out to run away from the media and refuse to answer questions. I'm just like, I'm confused by that. You know, Occam's razor say someone's trying to cover their own back, but that would imply it's got nothing to do with the government. I don't know. But this is going to be bigger over the weekend. And you heard it here first. Well, not really, but you know, whatevs. We'll get to that second though, even though we've started talking about it, because I think because that's going to take up probably 2/3 of this hour. So I think what we'll do to start off with is just quickly go and have a look. And it's really based on Rod Emerson's cartoon today, which is pretty cutting. I'll put it up for you. Rod Emerson from the Herald, I think. So Rod Emerson's cartoon, for those who are on the audio podcast, have a picture. Do you notice the belly and the button done up in the middle? That's becoming a bit of
prime ministerial puku.
Yeah. With one of the, I guess, spokesperson for the Japanese government saying, apparently, speaking of Mr. Luxon, for those listening, apparently this is an A-list New Zealand business delegation led by a C-list prime minister. Ouch. And look, I've had people contacting me, think if you spin it just slightly, if it's pretty much the same delegation, because it seems like it is. Fonterra was there, Christchurch Airport was, feels like there's some similar things. And Luxon is talking about the ones that went over under Labour being C-listers, and this is the A-team, but the team is pretty much the same. Is he just projecting as to the quality of Jacinda over the quality of him? Is he going, well, all these guys that were with me, they were only C-listers under Jacinda because her star shone so brightly. She was an A-lister. But because I'm only a C-lister, the same guys, they appear better. So they're A-listers compared to me, but they're only C-listers compared to her. I thought it was quite a nice little idea. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it's a nice little idea. And projection mucks. But it does still have that it smacks of that kind of schoolboy, oh, the party last weekend at that guy's house was really stink, but my party's going to be cool because I'm cool. You know what I mean? It smacks of just petty patheticness. And it actually, in my opinion, demonstrates weakness, Chewy. It demonstrates small-mindedness and weakness, that you're going to put down the delegation to work on trade and tourism just because it was under a red banner rather than a blue banner. You know what I mean? It's kind of, it's not even ugly. It's just petty, and it's schoolboy bullshit. Someone who's got maybe low self-esteem and is trying to big up themselves by showing how much better they are than the other guys.
It's also quite different from how these sort of things have been handled in the past. Like traditionally, even with a change of government, they've never, at least to my knowledge, put down the other team. And what they've done in the past with the trade delegation. It's all been, more than anything else, a united front that these trade delegations are there to promote New Zealand and New Zealand business and grow markets and all of that sort of stuff. So I think that's what I found so jarring about Luxon's comments, that he was, in an effort of shit-talking the previous administration, shit-talking everybody associated with the last trade mission. Just very weird.
Yeah. And it's not his first, you know. He's said a few things about the country and, you know, how pathetic XYZ is and talking us down overseas. I know I've said it once, maybe even twice already, but it's a little bit like when he's not around, he wants to make sure everyone knows how important he is. Like, look, we've done it right because I'm the shit. And we do it proper, not like those last guys. And these people are pathetic and this is bad, but I'm great. You know, we've talked about this before. Intelligent people never need to tell people they're intelligent. You know, I'm really smart. Yeah. And so if he's continually talking everyone else down, is there a projection thing going on here? And I'm not taking the piss. I'm being serious. If he's continually talking down, you know, is Jacinda still living rent-free in his brain? You know, and the height of popularity she got to. And does he feel he has to actually kind of try and convince people that they're the good ones, we're the right ones, last guy's bad, we good, which I guess does go into that repetitive theme of Labour bad. They're just doing it everywhere, Labour bad, even overseas, even if it's going to hurt or make New Zealand look petty, he's still going Labour bad. Anyhow, this is just a slice of a section of the conversation. Karen wasn't on breakfast this morning, but our mate the Bish was there and they talked a bit about it. Let's have a quick listen. It's only 90 seconds.
Hey, look, I want to start this morning. Chris, the Prime Minister, called previous business delegations C-listers. It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he himself has said he could have expressed himself better. I think he's just trying to make the point that he's really trying to lift our game on the world stage, and he's doing quite a lot of international travel and taking business delegations with him.
Yeah, by talking about how crap New Zealand's been up until when I was in charge. You know, it's and it's not the first time. Again, it's not the first time he's said crappy things about New Zealand or New Zealanders or individual New Zealanders when he's been doing an international, you know, official in his international official capacity.
Sounds like this Japan trip has been very successful, and that's really important. Getting the Prime Minister out there on the world stage, lifting that engagement. Japan, a very important security and also trade partner for New Zealand as well. Sounds like it's been a great trip, notwithstanding the plane drama again.
Oh, another pivot.
Yeah, hey, look, and I do want to get to that. And yes, and I completely understand, you know, in terms of wanting to take a delegation up to Japan, but C-listers, I think it was a bit harsh. Tangi, I mean, you know, what is that saying about the delegations that Labour, as the last government, took on these trade delegations, on these trade trips?
You mean the same people, Jenny May? The exact same people that are on the trip today? Those people?
Well, it's not a good look from the Prime Minister, is it, really? I mean, Japan is really important in terms of our ongoing relationship between Japan and New Zealand. But for the Prime Minister to basically reflect on chairs and CEOs of organisations and companies like Fonterra, like New Zealand, Air New Zealand, and the like is rather unfortunate. I know that we're getting used to the Prime Minister travelling overseas and slagging Kiwis off, but none of us really thought that would mean that his own travel companions would be the ones that would be slagged off this time around.
Yeah. Very good.
Jump right in there, Tangi.
But very true as well. The people that he threw under the bus ended up. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't want to read too much into it, but does it reek of not reading the room that you don't realise you're throwing the people who are on the trade mission with you this time around under the bus by calling them C-listers? Obviously, it didn't. You know, is he trying to be cool to the guys on ZB? Just being, you know, I'm just going to say, I'm going to be real and just say things that aren't. I'm no barriers on me.
I mean, does it seem like someone that is so across the details that he knows who went on the last trade delegation and who's with him now, that he can literally look at who's there?
Yeah.
Does it look like someone who has advisors that are making sure that he's across these facts, that he listens to people?
But Chewy, they've got seven social media people, so they must be doing something right. 7 people for social media.
Does it look like this is someone that can sing their own praises without shitting on the efforts of someone else? Like that. Yeah. That's the thing. He could have very well said something very similar to what he did by just saying, this is a high-powered trade delegation. We've picked them very well. They're going to do great things for New Zealand. You can talk about what you're doing. Don't compare it to anybody else. Yeah. The losing is in the comparison. You lose class. You can get pulled up on details like, you do know they're the same trade delegation, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's someone that, how would I say this? It just shows that it's someone that is not very good at the job that he's doing.
Heard that somewhere before.
Yeah. It came to me in a fever dream.
It's the idea of, how do you put yourself on the top of the heap? You either overcome, you overperform, you perform better, you do better, and you get above, or what you do is you try and pull other people down below your level. And those people are just like, you are an energy vampire. The kind of people that try and tear people down to try and make themselves seem more important. The worst kind of people. Just the worst. Let's have a look at some of the chats that have come in, and then we'll get on to the nurses. And remember, what's it called? Discord tonight, we'll have a look at the Just Stop Oil people and some other things if you want to talk about it as well. There's already a couple of people in there. Remember, if you go along, head into the waiting room, and once we get through the next story, we'll come and have a chat with you. Citizen Gold, thank you for your super chat. Kiwi Bird, I know that name. So this is in response to this. Kiwi Bird says something? Anyway. White dude, looks like he learned to smile from a book written in Esperanto. Worst example of a human I've seen. I guess I know who we're talking about now. Thank you for the super chat. Kooky sends a super chat through. Thank you, sir. Just to tell us that he's early. You showing off, eh? Showing off there. Peter says, thank you for the super chat. Watch out for health system in shitification as a step towards privatization. The government will say, see, it's so bad, we must go private. Yeah, we've talked about that for a while, haven't we? The right stand outside of government and they point to it and they say, government's not working. Then they get into government and they pass legislation to actively stop government working. And then even though they've caused it, they step back and go, see, it's not working. So no, I feel you. Mr. Alex, thank you for your very generous super chat there. I just want to say, many people within the disability and autism community who rely on the supported living payment and accommodation supplement are disappointed with the review which Chris Bishop has announced. Well, I guess we'll look into that a bit more next week, Mr. Alex, but thank you for the super chat. And Peter for $5, thank you, sir. There are jock PMs and nerd PMs. This is the first try-hard PM I can recall. It's funny, eh? You know, everyone's had people in their circle like that. People who are just like, they try and make themselves look cooler or better or stronger by attempting to pull the other lot down or the other person down. And if you're a good friend of the other lot, you know, when someone comes along and tries to pull them down, you're just like, no, this is not accurate. This is not accurate. And when Luxon does that, it smacks of that. It smacks of this is not accurate. But there you go. All righty, Chewy. Oh, I heard a beep. He's coming back. I was about to say Chewy's obviously gone off to do some chitty chatting. You're back again, sir.
I am back.
You should have come back with a complete different outfit on. People would have gone, oh.
I'm not Taylor Swift. I cannot pull off a costume quick change.
All right. So one of the leading stories on One News tonight is uncertainty surrounding how many Kiwi nurses will find jobs. Let's start, even though I recorded a conversation this afternoon that relates to this, so there might be more information in this story. Let's have a look to what they've got to say about the whole thing.
There's uncertainty about how many nursing graduates will get jobs in our hospitals, with Health New Zealand now being urged to be upfront with the public. The health sector boss evaded questions on the matter during Scrutiny Week, a new Parliament initiative designed to get answers from ministers.
Isn't that hilarious? Te Whatu Ora ran away from reporters during Scrutiny Week. This is a week where we're allowed to scrutinise you as you're running away from answering questions. Hilarious.
And public servants. Here's senior political reporter Benedict Collins.
Our health minister getting a VIP tour of Dunedin's new hospital today.
Didn't you feel the clouds in the sky today, Chewy? Didn't it just feel a bit darker and a bit dimmer today?
Just a couple of blocks away from where I was. Do you know how tempting? Do you know how tempting it was?
So we'll go up to level 1, we'll have a look here, that's where the MRI is going in.
But there are now fears
that's where the
budget
MRI
constraints
might be going in.
Yeah, if we get all the funding.
Te Whatu Ora will mean it's going to get a whole lot harder for new nurses to find work in our hospitals.
There's a recruitment cap because they don't have budget to employ these people. And so we are very worried that a whole crop of newly graduating nurses will have no jobs, and for the ones that do find them, maybe outside of Te Whatu Ora, won't be properly supported.
So that's the properly supported thing, right? That's the Te Whatu Ora has the system. Like if you are training to be a teacher, you go into a school, you get a like a senior teacher above you. There's a system set up that they help you for the first 2 years, and then you become a fully qualified teacher. Te Whatu Ora is the place to get those graduates the proper help. So if I said, like I said before, if they go into a rest home, which they can do, that system's not there to support them. And they need to have it as a part of their registration in the first 12 months. So that's what's so important about getting a Te Whatu Ora job, as opposed to a job working in a rest home or for a GP or whatever.
Tried to ask Te Whatu Ora's boss, Margie Apa at Parliament, whether she is planning on cutting back on new nurses.
Margie, hi there. Oh no, can I ask you some questions, please? Oh yeah. Can I? This is important. Can I please ask you a question about what Te Whatu Ora's plans are for the mid-year intake of nurses?
You're actually...
The health sector boss with no time to tell New Zealanders what's going on with our nurses.
Now, if you want to argue, well, maybe she literally had 60 seconds to get to it. Stay with us, baby birds. We'll show you, because later on they talk about after this interaction, they contacted Te Whatu Ora again, and they then declined. So they've had this opportunity, and then another one later in the day, and they still refuse to front to clear this whole thing up.
This is Scrutiny Week. Why are you not answering questions? This is about the public getting to better understand the government. Is it really appropriate for you just to walk away?
We will. I'm afraid I have to rush to another meeting.
Seriously, come on. That's not. This isn't on, is it? Coming to Parliament and not talking to the press. Can you just confirm whether those are your plans for nurses?
Her slow-speed escape from accountability criticised.
This is a matter of public interest. Te Whatu Ora need to be clear about what they're doing. It's not good enough to try and escape questions.
And the health minister says he's asked Te Whatu Ora what's going on.
Graduates are normally deployed either into communities, into age residential care or into the Health New Zealand structure. And I've been reassured that those graduates are currently being matched and will be deployed.
Hundreds of nurses will soon be graduating.
So there's a major issue here, and Te Whatu Ora needs to come clean and say just how many graduate nurses is it going to employ.
Te Whatu Ora issued a statement saying there's no freeze on hiring new nurses, but did say there are more expressions of interest than vacancies.
I noticed their statement sounds really tricky, that they're continuing to place nurses. I mean, that could be true if they just place 2 nurses. They need to come clean and say the number of places they have.
Calls for Te Whatu Ora to tell it straight.
Okay, Benedict,
So
there's
keep
clearly
listening.
a lot of uncertainty here around how many new nurses are going to be able to get jobs. This must be pretty unsettling for the hundreds of people who are about to graduate.
Well, it certainly is. One recent graduate got in touch with us today and was saying, look, her and her friends are now really worried about whether they're actually going to be able to get jobs in our hospitals like they'd been planning on. She told us it just doesn't seem right. What's going on here? Look, other nursing students and graduates, they took to social media today and were actually asking Te Whatu Ora directly, hey, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for our jobs? Look, given this, we went back to Te Whatu Ora this afternoon and we said, hey, look, people are clearly worried. Nursing students, nursing graduates, they're clearly upset. Would you like to make someone available for an interview this afternoon so you can give us the facts and we can explain to them exactly what is going on here? And they said no.
So the thing about it is, Jude, you see what I'm saying? There is uncertainty that obviously a chief executive or a comms person could have made themselves available to clear up the uncertainty. They've made an active choice to not clear up the uncertainty, and that makes me go, what's going on? Because I feel like if they have the best interest of the nurses and the patients at hand, it'll be a very easy clear up. But something's going on here. Whether it's with the government's got their thumb on the scale, whether there's something with the chief executive, or if just no one's got the information, something's going on which doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Comms people are back office though, so maybe they just got rid of all of them.
Maybe.
But look, this is a sign of a government saying one thing and yet another government department not agreeing with it or not knowing what's going on about it or not having enough knowledge to front foot it. And it has real world consequences. If you're a nurse close to graduating and you're thinking, shit, there's not going to be a job there for me, what do you do then? You jump on an Australian nursing recruiting website
100%.
and you fucking get on a plane and you go.
Yep.
And we lose an entire cohort of nurses.
Yep. And that's one of the things that's been getting said. I mean, I think in that tweet that I put up that someone else sent through and tagged me, can you see what the first response is? Australia beckons, what a waste. So exactly what you're saying. And
they already pay more.
Yeah.
And you have people that actively want to choose to work here for the benefit of us in this country. And now we're going, like, even if you want to stay here, we don't want to hire you. It's like, why would you stick around for that?
Yeah.
The disrespect.
So there's a heap going on there. There's a super chat here from Jackson Media. Nursing postgrad has already had limited space. We already have a health system in need of nurses that's broken. This will put patients at risk. It's a question I ask of our next guest as well. Is this dangerous potentially? So yeah, the thing that's frustrating most of all now. So you know what Occam's razor is. Occam's razor is people often talk about, you know, the most obvious answer is more often than not the true answer. Actual Occam's razor talks about the fewest number of assumptions to get to a correct answer. So in other words, if you don't assume anything. Now, Occam's razor on this says that Te Whatu Ora is up to something. Whether that up to something is because of government pressure, or whether that up to something is because of, I don't know, the senior level are protecting themselves. I don't think the government has installed, performance pay or anything yet. I know they're talking about it, but I don't think that's a part of the makeup of any of our government agencies yet. So maybe, I mean, what's the logical answer? That there's pressure coming from on top? But again, the government would know if they did. It doesn't make sense that that's the case because they'd know this would be a terrible headline. And every time they get a terrible headline, they run from it. So I don't know. It's all a bit confusing to me, to be perfectly honest. Anything else in the chat that you want to get to about that particularly before we jump into an interview?
No, we can push on to that interview.
So this is when I got that tweet got sent out. This is the press release that was included from the New Zealand Nurses Organisation, and they're just saying bluntly there's no place at Te Whatu Ora for graduate nurses. I won't go through this in too much detail now because we talk about it in the actual interview. So they said there's no places. Health New Zealand, as they're calling themselves, that's another little interesting thing. They've chosen to go away from Te Whatu Ora, although places like Waka Kotahi has, and I don't know whether that's a political, they're showing their political colours here or not, have basically said, nah, there is lots of places. And so we went to the source of the press release. So this is Kerri and she's one of the co-founders of the New Zealand Nurses Organisation, and I had her this afternoon for a quarter of an hour, and we had a good old chat about this overall situation. So let's check out this right now, and we'll see you in 15 minutes. Want to welcome to the show one of the co-founders of the New Zealand Nurses Organisation. The co-founder is the Kai Whakahaere. Kerri Nuku was with us. Kerri, good evening, good day to you.
Good evening.
I have been inundated with messages from people who watch this show saying, let me bring a tweet up, saying things like this to me. An entire graduating class fucked over by this government. Hospitals already under a hiring freeze, hoping these nurses would fill the gaps. Rest homes now new grads only option on low pay, benefiting the business model of the government's donors. Now, there's a lot of political conversation in there as well, but that has directed me to your guys' press release, which I will now put up for people who are watching. No place at Te Whatu Ora for graduate nurses. For those who are listening, I'll just read the first couple of paragraphs. New Zealand Nurses Organisation is extremely disappointed by Health New Zealand Te Whatu Ora's decision not to match graduates into their nursing workforce. As a part of its ongoing cost containment cuts, Health New Zealand Te Whatu Ora is freezing the employment of graduate nurses into the hospital system. The mid-year intakes of nurse entry to practice and nurse entry to specialist practice programs to provide graduates with support and professional development to facilitate their transition during their first year of practice will be paused, apart from those who are recruited externally into specialist services. Now, to the layman sitting on the outside, we look at that and we go, we've got a struggling health system. We need more nurses, more doctors. And the way I read that as an ignorant moron is that the part of the cost-cutting measures of this government is stopping graduate, so first year out of university students, from working in hospitals. Now, I'll go to what the government said in response to that soon, but am I reading that correctly? What have I missed, if anything?
No, you're reading that correctly.
Okay. Well, why don't we just go straight to the response from the government right now, which is based on I think a News Hub item. Is it News Hub? It is News Hub. This is the response. Health New Zealand said there was no pause on recruitment of graduate nurses. Any statements saying otherwise are incorrect. The graduate process is still underway. Applicants have expressed their preferences and matching is happening across New Zealand. We continue to employ graduate nurses, focusing on areas where we have vacancies. Aside from Health New Zealand, graduate nurses may also be employed in primary/community care, aged residential care, or public health. So you guys are saying, what, they're not hiring new nurses into hospitals. The government seems to be saying, no, we still are. As the public, what do we read into this? Give us the skinny.
Well, yesterday morning, we were notified by our members, outraged by our members, because they had been informed by Te Whatu Ora leadership that there is a pause also on NET-P, so these are the new graduates entry to practice, and NES-P, so those entering into mental health services. So our members that had been to meetings and read information out from their regional leaders were outraged because this is the message that they were being sent. We quickly got on to validate the source of information and then went out promptly with a media release, at which stage then Te Whatu Ora has said, no, misinformation. So that's where the lay of the land sits at the moment. Now, remember last Thursday night, Te Whatu Ora said, or Health New Zealand said, we've got a freeze on nurses because For months, we've been saying that we're 4,800 nurse vacancies across the country.
Yep.
And Te Whatu Ora says, hold on now, we've done our figures, and now we're 2,000 nurses in credit. So we're 2,000 nurses over, so we need to freeze everything off.
Right.
This is a concern for us because our domestic supply, so that's 1,800 students that are about to go through these graduations, potentially now are being squeezed out, so we have no domestic sourcing, because we've allowed internationally qualified nurses to come in en masse without any control, and therefore take up places within Te Whatu Ora. So there's inconsistency of messaging, information and data sources. There's some confusion here, which is why our members and new graduates are really concerned about their future.
You say that some of your members have received information of the pause being told. Do we have any, and I'm not questioning you on this, but I just think about how to find the truth as a third party. Do we have this in writing? Do we have this as evidence? Are there emails that you can forward us to show that Te Whatu Ora or the government has actually said there is a pause?
Yeah, so there have been emails that have been sent around. I'm sure that there were some that were leaked, but that is also what the Te Whatu Ora sources are disputing.
So they're disputing what? That the emails are genuine?
That the misinformation or what was taken from the meeting was incorrect.
Okay. What do they say? What do they say was taken from the meeting? Where's the discrepancy between what they say and what you guys are saying?
Well, just like in their media release, they're saying that there wasn't any hold on net P or nest P positions.
Okay, so
where clearly in the message it was very clear that that was the direction.
Right. Do you agree that we are oversupplied with nurses right now? Because what we hear in the public is the complete opposite. But as you say, last Thursday, we got told there was 2,000 oversupplied. Is that accurate in your opinion, or are we short?
No, that's not accurate. Certainly when you look at the ward situations, when you see wards that are being shut down, services that are being stopped because they do not have enough nurses, that doesn't signal an oversupply of nursing workforce in specialty areas. So no, we don't support that.
Now you said you used the number 100,000. Is it 100,000 students that are currently studying, like in the whole nursing courses?
Sorry, that number was 1,800 nurses that are about to graduate over the 2 intakes over a year. So we have
there's a couple of thousand nurses about to come out, graduating nurses, and one hand we're being told we're 4,000 short, whatever it is, and the other hand we're being told we're 2,000 too many. I mean, that seems, I often think about this conversation and I say, what's the metric that we're measuring these statements by? That seems to be quite an easy one, because there's a number of nurses in wards and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's why it seems quite strange for us that Te Whatu Ora can go from saying that there is these amount of vacancies to next minute there is this amount of oversupply. And where do those FTE numbers, full-time equivalent numbers, come from? Where is the data that backs that up? Certainly our information that we released under a special OIA about a month and a half ago identified, Te Whatu Ora's own information identified that our wards throughout the country are undersupplied with nurses, that in many situations, in many wards, that they were below the target of safe staffing numbers within wards across the country. So it doesn't stack up. The oversupply argument doesn't seem to fit. And for us, and many of us that are part of our health unions, it was a surprise that we read about the freeze on Thursday as opposed to have discussions with Te Whatu Ora around where their numbers and their information is coming from. So we were equally as surprised as many of the public that read that for the first time in a media release.
So, but Thursday there was a freeze. Today or yesterday when the story came out, they're saying there's no freeze. So there's a contradiction, and you're saying there's a contradiction in what Te Whatu Ora is saying in the space of a week, yeah?
Yeah, so they're saying that there's no freeze on the new graduates that come through, that are currently applying, are currently sitting exams and currently going to apply for these positions. What they have said, and we've got to bear in mind that 80% of these new graduates would go to Te Whatu Ora spaces. What Te Whatu Ora is saying that there still could be recruitment, but actually they might be now out there in primary care and the aged care residential services,
Gotcha.
which are not set up to take that volume of students, offer peer support, mentoring, education support. So it's not merely shifting of a resource, because a lot of those primary care facilities would not have the infrastructure to be able to support that students of those numbers. So there is something that certainly doesn't seem to be adding up.
Again, on the outside looking in, this looks politically motivated. This is read by me as we're hearing about cutbacks and money saving by this incumbent government. But we're also being told by Mr. Luxon in particular, that the people running these departments, the CEOs, will still have complete control. They'll find out where there needs to be losses. They have all the information. What do you see this as? Is this direct involvement from this government putting their thumb on it, saying save more money? Is it the government putting pressure on the CEOs of Te Whatu Ora, and then they're having to make these decisions? How is this happening? And I guess what I'm saying is, I wouldn't imagine this would be happening if it was the last lot, the Labour government in. Tell me if I'm wrong, and then can you explain why you think these cutbacks are happening?
Well, we certainly saw cutbacks with the previous government as well, and I think that is the driver behind this, is the economical restraint on health services. As we've seen across all of sectors, they've been all told to pull back on money, and I think this is another further exercise of that. To suggest that we're overstaffed, and nursing by far is the largest health workforce across all of the health systems, so we are expensive. You remember, or may remember, that a couple of years ago, our nurses within Te Whatu Ora Health New Zealand took a pay equity settlement. So they are, compared to their other colleagues, they do get paid significantly better, recognising the gender discrimination than the other workforce out in the community. So I think there are financial pressures that are driving these types of decisions. And for many nurses within the system, they're feeling squashed and pressured that they're expected to do more without recognising that there is a crisis that's currently impacting on them. The mental fatigue, the exhaustion, it is real, it is significant.
In your professional opinion, the level of nurses, the number of nurses we have in our health system at the moment, will it maintain a safe and proper forward momentum as it is, or is it the other opposite of that would be, is it dangerously low, putting patients' lives at risk?
Yeah, I think what we saw from under the Official Information Act, it showed that we are in many areas, mental health, sometimes women's health, children cancer wards, that we are getting critically low in the amount of experienced workforce that are available to tend to these very sick and vulnerable patients. So it's really critical. What the information also says is that if we continually have wards that are understaffed, then there will be a rationing of care. There will be people that have these unexpected events, because we keep rationing care, and sometimes that care rationing can affect one person or a couple repeatedly. So there then will lead to impact on their quality of healthcare within the system. So this has been going on for many, many years, bear in mind. COVID exposed the crisis, but actually there hasn't been a quick supply to remedy it. So this is now, for us, it's reaching critical point, because nobody seems to be listening to the crisis, and it has gone on for so long. It's at a critical point. And many of my colleagues in tears, because they go on to nursing to care for patients and to give them the best quality care they can. When you can't do that after an 8-hour, 12-hour shift, you leave and you feel pretty terrible.
With the freezing of the employment that you're accusing Te Whatu Ora of, that you're saying they also said a week ago, are we going to lose a bunch of these new graduates off to Australia?
I've had a string of people say, how much is it for a passport? Australia are taking new graduates. So some have already said, I'm not even going to look for a job. I'm not even going to apply for the process and get a job here. I'm just going to leave. So, we do run that risk. And
So as of today, you say there is a freezing of employment. Te Whatu Ora's latest announcement is there's not. And obviously from us, those of us sitting on the outside, we're looking what's happening. What's the next step? Where to from here? What's the resolution for you guys moving forward?
So again, as we keep saying, we need to get around the table and look at thrashing out these numbers, where they're coming from. We need to look at not short-term remedies, but a long-term workforce development strategy, which the governments have failed to do for nursing. So we need to look at how we can support and secure domestic supply so that the nurses that train and have spent years here, that want to live here, have access to jobs at the end of their training. And we need to turn off a tap around the internationally qualified nurses that keep coming in and that our new graduates compete with for jobs. So we've got to look at a multi-pronged approach to a workforce strategy that's going to have a long-term focus.
If there's 1,800 graduates coming out and we're a couple of thousand graduates short, once that's filled up, I mean, I'm assuming there's 1,800 graduates next year. If that was filled up, it doesn't mean there's going to be 1,800 available next year, is there? Because those jobs will be filled up. Or do you think there is growth that comes and there's always need for those graduates?
Yeah, there is always growth and opportunities in there, remembering that we've got an ageing workforce, so they're always also going to be retiring. The critical part of the new graduate program is it takes a year for them to develop, to support, to be under a mentorship. So they're kind of in that transition year, which is really critical for mentoring, for other professional development opportunities. So then they come out, and what we consider to be an experienced or senior nurse is once they've done sort of 3 years. So supporting them to become those competent practitioners. So there's always a need to keep that cycle going. And we've also got people that are retiring, or people that are getting pregnant, or people that are moving overseas for whatever OE experience. So there is always that need for a constant supply.
Right. So we're not, if we're 2,000 next year and 2,000 the following year, there's not going to be a whole bunch of those people missing out. There's always going to be a need to, as you say, people leaving, people retiring, to slot them in. Interesting. Okay, from the New Zealand Nurses Organisation, that is Kerri Nuku. Thank you, Kerri, for joining us today. That's been really informative.
Oh, thank you.
And there you go. That is the conversation with Kerri Nuku from New Zealand Nurses Organisation. It's what? Okay, what do you think? I always like to throw you the ball after these because I've done the conversation. What are your thoughts?
I think it sounds like fucking chaos. It's not just this cohort. It's the next one. It's the one after that. It's the nurses that are thinking, is this, or future nurses thinking, is this a career for me?
Yeah.
This sort of shit show has a ripple effect. Like, can you find someone in this country that thinks nurses have it too good? That they're paid too much, that they have a nice relaxed shift work? Like, nobody, like, it's a one-way trip to a hiding.
Yeah.
Like, if you go, there's costs to be cut, in the back office, as much as that's a farce, you will always get people going, oh yeah, there's always paper shufflers and you're going to get rid of them and it doesn't matter. But I don't think even the most right-wing people would go, yeah, nurses, that's what we need less of. It's pretty fucked. And I just think, again, you've got a government saying one thing, the department that they're talking about saying two wildly divergent other things.
Yeah.
And the people dealing directly with the people affected by this going, this has put the shits up people that we represent. And they're looking at the door because why would you have any confidence in what's going to happen next?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if other people have done this, but when you're a parent and you hear your kid talking about being a teacher, you're like, yeah, teaching's good because, the pays are pretty good benefits with it. It's good to travel on. You can go and teach in Australia or the UK, but it's a government job. It's a good secured job. We're getting more and more kids. And it feels like that's kind of nursing a bit as well. Population's growing, always need more nurses. Yet we've got this group of nurses coming out now kind of going, hang on, what? No jobs for us. Like when we're being told on 1 week they're 4,000 short, the following week we're oversubscribed by 2,000. Come on. Come on. I spoke to Kerri afterwards, and I was really careful not to go, I don't believe you, because it's not that. But it's like, I know people will see that interview and kind of go, yeah, but how can we tell? I asked her to send me some information that they'd received. And this is an email I'll show that's obviously been stripped of all relevant sort of personalised information. This was an email that she sent to me that they had been sent. And Richard Sullivan is a Chief Clinical Officer at Health New Zealand. This is just one part of this email. So this came from one of their members to them, right, on 19th, was yesterday morning. Sullivan, so that's Richard Sullivan, instructed that dons across Aotearoa pause process for the mid-year intake of NetP and NetSP, that's the kinds of nurses, graduate nurses, apart from any who are matched/recruited externally to HSS, unless further instructions are received by the end of the day, Friday 21st. This means there will not be any new graduate nurses recruited for our mid-year program within HSS across the country. This is very much a national issue. I wonder if there could be a capital N on that as well. This is very much a national issue. So that's from a nurse student. So I guess you could argue if you wanted to, well, that's not evidence. But there's leaked emails. Duncan Garner talked about it this morning, and he had a leaked memo from Te Whatu Ora, and what I don't get now you've heard all of that, and you can see how these sides are saying completely different things, and the uncertainty amongst these bunch of 21-year-olds who are just wanting to serve their country and their fellow human being and be a nurse. And now think about that chief executive running away from the media and refusing to front anybody, and now go, hang on, what?
Cowardly.
You know what I mean? There's something about that which is not making sense. So I don't know what it is, but there you go. Anything else, Chewy, on that one, sir?
I think just rather than highlighting any specific chats at this point, just a general vibe of utter horror.
Yeah.
I've got a super chat here from JC and the Pigeon Cats. Monday, I was aboard an ambulance and into ED. The nurses were all absolute legends. Araha nui to all that do such challenging work despite disrespect and underfunding from the government. Look, I've mentioned this a couple of times. My sister is a nurse here in Dunedin. There's nothing in any story that she has ever told me that reflects that they have enough resources, that they have enough staff, that they have enough support. But it's something that she's wanted to do her entire life. Yeah. She's incredibly driven to this, and that is what is keeping her there.
Yeah.
I know that the moment that she loses that, she's gone from this country. I've had friends that have gone through nursing, and they hit that same wall. That they see those recruiting ads that they get.
Mm.
Boom, private hospital in Melbourne making 2-3 times what she did.
Yeah,
promotional prospects, senior roles that they'd never get here in New Zealand. Like now, other countries can see the value of the nurses that we train here. Why can't we see the value?
Yeah,
our wages are shit house.
I wonder as well, right? You remember before the election, I was talking about, the number of public servants that they grew under Labor. If you look at all the public servants, meaning teachers, nurses, police officers, all of them, not just the backroom bureaucrats, it was like a 2% increase in numbers. I know that they're talking about the bureaucrats, it's out of 50,000, so it's different or whatever it is. But if you look at all of them, it was a very small increase. Anyone who's receiving a paycheck for work from the government, meaning that's a public servant, everything from the person making the Prime Minister's coffee through to a principal of a school, through to a firefighter, whatever, all of them. It was a very small increase. And it does make me think about, because I can't make sense, especially of the runaway and the refusal to front with an answer, it does make me feel like, is there some backroom stuff going on involving the government to do with saving more money for things like tax cuts? And they basically have to. We're not going to do the story tonight. It was kind of tagged onto the story, so I'll synopsize it for you. And I'll synopsize it because I want to play you a piece of video with someone who has been said before as the worst human on the face of the planet. This came out, I think, today, 9 hours ago. No point job hunting in New Zealand, public servants moving overseas, say, amid struggling economy. So the story is about public servants in general, right? And of course, there's been a lot of people, a lot of public servants gone, the so-called backroom people. But I guess I'm now filled with a sense of dread, is that maybe there's other things going on and they're looking to save money in other areas. And when you hear the likes of David Seymour, and I'll just play you about 60 seconds of this, basically saying, harden up, public servants, and go and find another job, it kind of just, I don't know. I'm more concerned about what they described as the front line, which today they're calling the back room, than perhaps once before. Have a listen to what Seymour said about all these layoffs.
Having public servants sticking their beaks into how people treat each other has made us a more complicated and divided country.
As well as 565 jobs at the Ministry.
This story, by the way, is not from today. It's one they've put up. It's a bit of a historic one, but it's still, I want you to get the vibe of the attitude around Seymour and public servants losing their jobs.
Ministry of Education, Oranga Tamariki yesterday proposed 447 roles will be lost.
That's a lot of people to be potentially losing their jobs.
There needs to be a reality check here. Everybody's gnashing and wailing about the public service. The reality is it's grown more in the last 6 years, much more in fact than any reduction happening right now.
OT's workforce has grown from under 4,000 in 2018 to just under 5,000 at the end of last year, a 26% increase. It now has about 5,001.
The point I wanted to make, if we had have used this for a full segment, which we're only kind of doing as a tad now, is the thing that Seymour and Luxon, the point they keep making about more public servants hasn't, in their opinion, this is their opinion, led to better outcomes. And they keep saying there's more today than there was 3 years ago. No one's saying how many we need. You know that I've banged on about the water barrel, you know, and if the barrel needs to be full up to overflow to water the garden. If the government comes in and they drop it down to half under National, so the water won't flow over the top of the barrel, and Labor comes in and they make sure the barrel's filled to the top, so the barrel is now functioning to be able to deliver water, National could still come in and go, they've increased the amount of water twofold. It wasn't that when we left. Just because the numbers are more doesn't mean it's not functioning. And the question I want someone to ask Seymour and Luxon is, where's the evidence that fewer public servants will lead to this better outcome you're chasing? Because what they're saying is more public servants haven't led to a better outcome. Now, I'm not even debating the has it or hasn't it better outcome thing. But even if we take that, I want to know, why the fuck would you think if the better outcomes aren't happening with 100 people, it's going to be so much better with 60 people? Doesn't that actually mean maybe we need 200? Like, is it not getting the outcomes you're saying that they should be getting because they're actually overworked and understaffed? You've just come in saying the outcomes aren't good enough, they've got more people, we're going to have few. Where is the evidence, Mr. Seymour, that fewer public servants will lead to this better outcome that you're continually talking about? And the answer is, there is none. And the answer is, he's never fucking been asked that. And he needs to be. I'm not going. There's some more of that little clip as well. He does say that thing about better outcomes, but you've got the story. I don't need to go any further with it. You've got the gist.
Yeah, there's lots of things about him saying stuff like that. It doesn't have any context. It doesn't include our population growth. It doesn't include the ramp down from COVID. All of these sort of things. It's just slash. There's no cost benefit analysis done. There's no question about, okay, so what's the correct number? There just isn't one. It's just always too much. And a lot of these things that he is potentially crippling are the things that can be privatized. You know, he's got his charter schools, he's got private healthcare, all of that sort of stuff. And from our Twitch crew, it's almost like you need 20 people to shovel a mountain of shit, and you've only ever had 10 people shoveling, and then someone comes along and asks you why you haven't finished shoveling yet.
Yeah, but that's it as well. It's like I'm not a journalist, right? Which probably you can see fairly easily by my tone and candor. But Why the fuck, every time he says that, doesn't a journalist who has access say, why didn't we get those outcomes, Mr. Seymour? Why? Why didn't we get them? Because if all he's saying is more people we didn't get, so less people, that doesn't actually answer the problem that he says we have. And I'm saying, you know what I'm doing, folks? What I'm putting out there is what they're saying. They're saying outcomes, whether it's true or not, I don't even care right now. What I want to know is why, Mr. Seymour, are we not getting those outcomes? Because if it's for anything other than, well, there's too many people, then this solution is not going to help. And how not getting those outcomes could lead to too many people, I don't know, unless it's chefs and they're trying to stir the pot. Maybe in that instance, it wouldn't be an outcome. You need fewer chefs, but I can't see why that they would say fewer public servants will lead to a better outcome. I haven't seen the evidence for that. I've heard it said a fuck of a lot, but I've seen no evidence, and I get frustrated. I've got an email this week again from Mr. Seymour's office. No, not available this week. Every time. They won't come on. And they won't come on because we're the ones that told David Seymour why people think he's racist. Didn't call him racist, just why people think he's racist. And so they won't come back. I'll send another one next week. Do it all the time. Why? Why? Come on, fucking journalists. You've been to university. You've got the letters behind your name. I don't. Chewy doesn't. It's very easy to go,
Polytech.
why? Did you? Anywho, anything else from you, Chewy, or should we go have a chat with some people on Discord?
Let's go have a chat with some people. It's Thursday, my dude.
It's Thursday, my dude. Now listen up, Fano. I am going to give away some merch tonight, or I'll give a $50 credit away, so you can have a t-shirt, or if you want a hoodie, you can add it towards the hoodie. So like I'll give you a voucher for $50 and you can pay 40 more and get a hoodie. So a $50 voucher to one person who calls in tonight. Kiwi Skirt, I can just see, has put the Discord in there again. I would like to do some kind of directive talkback. Obviously, you're welcome to talk about what we've been talking about tonight, but I would like to know from you what you think of Just Stop Oil. After playing that clip earlier about the attack on Stonehenge, is attack too harsh a word? Whatever. The protest using Stonehenge, I'd like to know from people what they think about Just Stop Oil. It's like a proper talkback show, Chewy. The number is 0800, just use Discord. And when you jump into Discord, just cruise over here to the waiting room. Chewy, there's a lot of people there.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So just go into the waiting room. Make sure that you're listening to us down Discord, not through YouTube, because there's like a 30-second delay at YouTube. And when we get a chance to come to you, we will. Because there's so many people sitting there, we might just kind of give you a minute or two. See, Chewy needs to go to bed. Look at him. Look at little Chewy.
Nice.
Little Chewy needs to go, no, nice. So I'll give you a minute or two. We'll have a chat and we'll throw a t-shirt or a $40 off or $50 off a hoodie if you want that as well. So let's get into it. Well, let's just start at the top and go down. And Aiden's at the very top. He's a regular dude is Aiden. So let's just go say g'day to Aiden. Aiden, are you there, sir?
I am.
Yeah.
How are you?
Kia ora. What's up? What's up?
First of all, on the Just Oil thing, to be honest, I don't really care. I'm just focused on what's happening here. And, like, there's so much shit here. It's like, I've got my own plate of worries. And, I mean, I agree it's an important issue. It's kind of like it's kind of like the discussion around Māori Parliament. It's something so big, you have to acknowledge the discussion about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, it's, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's right. Look, Aiden, if you're not that fussed about the Just Stop Oil, what did you want to say? Just share us with the thought that you did want to share about.
You've seen Mr. Alex or Alex. This is super chat. I wanted to talk about that.
Okay.
Mr. Bishop is now wanting to look into the housing accommodation supplement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a article that Alex shared in Discord. It's on RNZ. It's saying there's a few things that add up to a package of 2.3 billion or something.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. Well, the accommodation supplement was 2.3 billion a year. It's 380,000 people, it says, which it says about 20,000 of whom had a mortgage.
Yeah.
Now, it goes back to that thing that you were saying earlier, it's like, okay, there might be some people who who can, look, I don't know this situation, but there might be some people who the program is not intended for.
Yeah.
But are you really going to spend that much time and money investigating?
Right. So
where you can make minor changes?
So people might get caught up in it.
I bet those full 380 people on that all need it to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying all of them or none of them deserve it. They're on there for a reason. No one takes the piss just for the sake of taking the piss. It's like... And Bish was saying something, maybe we can... he was saying about how there's no incentive, how there's an incentive for people to stay in social housing if their circumstances change.
Yeah.
Or whatnot, and they might get more money, but they want to stay in social housing to get subsidized rent or something.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand what you're saying, Aidan, and I guess Bishop's being like, people are going to mess with the system and they're not going to want to be a part of it and they're not going to move on when it's time to move on. It's pretty cynical from him. Hey, look, thanks for jumping in tonight, and you're the second person, obviously, to talk about that, so it's something I'll definitely look into over the weekend. And Chewy, it sounds like something that's important that we should follow up next week. Aidan, thanks for your conversation tonight, mate. I value it and I appreciate it for you. Let's have a chat to, is it Broden? Broden, is that you there?
Yeah, mate. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good. What's up?
Yeah, I guess I feel a little bad. I feel like I jumped the line a little bit just with a alphabetical name.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, look, I'm just starting at the top and going down, so I apologize. I mean, we'll get to everybody. We'll just do a couple of minutes each and get through people.
Yeah, a little comment about the Just Stop Oil stuff.
Yeah.
I guess personally, it's all a bit performative to me. I guess all protest, in a sense, is, but it seems a little outlandishly so. I can understand it from their perspective. If you've got no actual power to change the system, you kind of just want to go and make as much noise as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm fully behind the cause, of course, but I don't know if I agree with the actions they're taking.
The one I saw that I was most concerned about was when they were doing a slow walk through a part of London, and there was a woman in an emergency, I think, delivering a baby in an ambulance, and that couldn't get through. And I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of a softie, but I kind of go, I understand that, and I think this was literally said, the kind of life of one baby versus the life of the planet, billions of people sort of thing. I just don't know if I could do it. If I was there, I'd be like, guys, we got to get out of the way. There's an ambulance coming through. So it's much like the same. What you're saying is the cause is absolutely, but I don't know. I don't want to talk it down because, there would have, I'm not saying it's the same, but there would have been people who have talked down every cause, time immemorial that have ended up doing great things, and they needed to make that noise to start off. There were people talking down, people getting onto Waikato Stadium when the Springboks were playing there and putting glass and stuff on the stadium. That was a massive ruckus about you didn't need to stop that. But I know the story that Nelson Mandela heard about that on Ellis Island, I think it is, isn't it? And that gave him, it gave him strength. So you can't really know where it's going to go, even if in the moment I find it a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I'd probably agree pretty heavily with that. It's a hell of a trolley problem to have.
Yeah.
With, somebody needing to get to the emergency room versus the hypothetical whole planet.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it makes the cause seem worse to an outside observer than what's than it actually is, and it turns more people away.
What do you think?
But I mean, it's just the whole thing. You have to be disruptive to get people to look at you to get the airtime for it.
Yeah, protest at its nature is disruptive. HOE.
Yeah. And I think you see that when authority figures go, "Oh, you've got to protest in the right way," or that sort of thing. Like here in New Zealand, again, the same crowd that don't stop oil gluing themselves to motorways and stopping, stop coal movement being in front of trains and that sort of thing. That's disruptive, and I think a bit more targeted, especially stopping coal trains. I think when it comes to the actions of these protesters in the UK, you got to kind of come at it from a marketing perspective, right? Is it going to get our message out there? And is our message getting out there going to harm the message, sort of thing? Because here we are talking about, they're being disrespectful to Stonehenge or whatever. It's rocks, right? They've been there for thousands of years. They're still going to be there. It's the same with them putting soup on a painting that had a protective perspex thing over the front of it.
Yeah.
But we don't end up talking about their message. We talk about their actions. So that keeps happening. And I think they need to pivot into something that is more effective about talking about. They need to get on camera to talk about their message.
Yeah. Now that's interesting.
Because the
Anything else,
message is getting
Broden?
lost in their actions.
Anything else to wrap up?
I think that was most of it. Like you don't want to be like a negative optics, like look at the optics of this situation, they're just bad, sort of thing. But yeah, I just don't know if it's an issue with like the leadership of Just Stop Oil, or just a kind of there's too much money in the oil industry to just immediately negatively spin it.
Yeah.
But that's right. I'll move on and let some other people have a chat, eh?
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you. I'm going to keep saying calling in, Chewie. I'm still not entirely sure what to do with it.
It counts.
Yeah, it counts. I think that it was a really interesting point you just made, bro, which is surely if you do a protest, if you do an action that you want to bring attention to a cause, if they're talking about the action and not the cause, then you've missed the mark somewhat in your actions. Don't know. But then again, I could go back to that in 81? Were they talking about the cause that the guys on the field the guys on Waikato Stadium got to, or were they talking about the protest? And if they were talking about the protest, it kind of negates the point a little bit, doesn't it? I don't know. I wasn't old enough to be aware of it. But anywho, we've got DIY Guru on with us as well. G'day, Guru. Hello, Guru. That is you, Guru. Hello, Guru. That is you, Guru. We're going to do this. We're going to wait about 2 or 3 seconds, and then we're going to put Guru back in the pack and go to someone else. Oh, Guru just dropped off all by themselves. Okay, there we go. So let's go to Frosty and have a chat. Frosty boy. Hey, Frosty, you're on.
Kia ora, fellas.
Kia ora. I'm glad you said kia ora, because
mate.
often when you don't get someone like we didn't a second ago, I kind of go, oh shit, is it something I've done? But no, it's not, because we're talking to you. How are you?
Good, fellas. How are you?
Good. What's up?
I'm going to completely change topics, right? I'm just going to completely shift. Chewy, you play. Oh, I'm not sure about you, Pat, but I noticed Chewy, you play games a lot, right?
I do. Yep.
Yeah. Do you play Civilization at all?
No, I tried and could never quite get into it.
I was just going to talk about how they're releasing the new Civilization game next year. But that's all good, sir.
How are they doing it? Tell us.
Well, there's only been a teaser so far, but Civilization 7, fucking 7, is coming out next year, and it's just a teaser trailer, short clip. We don't know much about it, but the current Civ game, Civ 6, is about 9 years old. Needs updating, needs some refreshing. And yeah, next year's a big year for games because GTA 6 comes out as well. The probably the biggest game of the decade.
Here's a little fun fact for you. GTA 5, when it came out, I set some sort of infamous record as an EB Games manager that I didn't leave my shop for 36 hours.
Wow.
What?
Because I wanted to do a midnight release, and head office wanted this shop open at 7:30. So
30.
I had pre-ordered more copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 than I believe any other store in the country, and was ranked top 5 for pre-orders in Australasia. So I had a big midnight launch. I had to prep all the stock and all of that sort of stuff. And I asked my head office, I was like, cool, so can I expense like a motel room or something like that? And they're like, no. And I was like, okay, then I'll just sleep on the floor. And I got an award and a written warning.
All right.
Did you ever could sleep on the floor?
I had a fucking rat shit sleep on the floor.
All right, Frosty.
Gosh.
Hey, thanks for calling in, mate.
Tēnā koe, fellas.
All right, all the best. We'll go ahead and
Cheers,
chat
mate.
with James. Dun, dun, dun. James, are you there?
Kia ora, kia ora.
Kia ora. What's up?
Kia ora, mate.
Oh my goodness, so much going on. Just going back on the rocks.
Yeah.
I think in general, all protest tends to be somewhat overshadowed by the act. A lot of attention gets paid to the action rather than what the protest was about. And I mean, heck, in this case, it was like, as it's been mentioned a bunch of times, it was, in fact, the protesters, their response was, it's not permanent.
Yeah.
It was cornstarch. It's cornstarch paint. It's just going to wash off. So, I mean,
there was a fantastic moment in the thing. See if I can find it. Is that one there? Yeah, we'll play it up here and have a look. Right at the end here, there's a fantastic moment where one of the guys has the see, he's got the can there, right? And the other guy picks it up and it blasts him right in the face, which is kind of hilarious. So you have a look. The smaller guy here is doing the painting. He puts it down. The older, bigger guy picks it up, and you watch, Chewy, straight in the face. So I'm pretty good. They're pretty happy. It's probably what. Here he goes. He picks it up. Boof! Straight in the face. Just made himself.
So
he made himself. I think it's officially. I think it's called. He made himself a Trump. I think that's what they call it. It's a Trump officially.
well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty funny. But they got in the headlines, so objective achieved, I guess.
Is it?
Yeah. So,
yeah. Is it though? I mean, like, to be honest, Chewy just said, "Is it though?" I kind of know what Just Stop Oil's about, but I don't. Even though we're in this world and we see and hear everything, I'm still not 100% clear on what they're asking for. So all I really know them for is the protests and the
name?
And the but what does that mean? Like,
Just Stop Oil.
Yeah, but all of it immediately right now. What are their terms? What are their conditions? What are they actually asking for?
Yeah, well, I think that the end goal is in the name. How we get there is, obviously something that it will be useful to find out a little bit more about, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like you say, in the name, got it. But also oil is currently in everything, which is the problem, obviously.
Yeah.
Including petroleum products and things like plastics, which is bizarre.
It's an insurmountable task for sure.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, but someone has to
but you got to
start it.
start somewhere, right?
Yeah, 1,000.
And why not start by spraying the Stonehenge orange?
Yeah, no, fair enough, James.
It's an interesting one because I think you know, as you said, like they're spraying it. It's temporary. It's like, man, I'm for some really destructive, you know, protest. You know, I'm all for them.
Yeah, I mean,
walking up
what
to
you
some
said
major
before
banks and-
about blocking the coal trains, that sounds like a direct action. Would be great. You know,
I wanna
there'd be
see some
people out
people
there that would
chaining
call you a
themselves to
terrorist or
oil.
whatever the hell, but
Yeah.
you know, by the
chaining
same
themselves to some oil executive's private jet or something like that. It just seems like
but you know, by the same token, I would even put the Houthis and the fact that they've sunk some ships while ensuring that no lives are lost in the Gulf as direct action against is like possibly a bit more extreme, but again, no lives lost, nobody hurt. Direct action against Israel for their horrendous actions in Palestine. I mean, that's yeah, for sure.
All right.
Direct action is definitely a good idea.
All right, James. Thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate your
Cheers,
thoughts.
buddy.
All the best. We have got a Kiwi bird there as well, I believe. Yeah, we'll go say hello. Hello, Kiwi bird.
G'day.
G'day.
Right.
Yep. Right. So let's carry on the discussion with Just Stop Oil. In my opinion, I think they need to rename themselves Just Stop Being Annoying at this point. You know, to give credit to them, they did use corn flour.
Yep.
However, I don't think they were aware of the fact that there was some pretty rare lichen species growing on the stones.
Yeah.
That take
Oh,
hundreds
really?
and hundreds of years to grow. So it's not what they did there was not exactly ecologically friendly. If that was the goal, and, like, to be fair to them, okay, look, the goal probably wasn't to deface Stonehenge, but rather to draw attention to their protest, which they did. They did it. They did an amazing job there. But unfortunately, they keep doing this annoying thing. They keep drawing attention to their actions rather than drawing attention to their cause. Now, I did look on their website. Apparently, their cause is to demand that the UK government makes a statement that it will immediately halt all future licensing and consents for the exploration, development, and production of fossil fuels in the UK. So, yeah, the name itself, they're not doing a really good job advertising that. I don't know what Stonehenge has to do with that. I know I would be pissed if someone did this to a wahi tapu here in New Zealand. If someone, you know, went up to a tickle and just started spraying orange paint all over it. You know, so there is a bit of that as well. Protest, like the way how they're doing it, is a real grey zone. It really is. Like, you know, there's a trade-off between being annoying and getting across a point.
Yeah, the term annoying is interesting because if someone defaced like a taonga, that would be a bit more than just annoying. But I know what you're saying. I mean, and like I said, obviously as James just said, I think obviously it's in the name, but when you actually go and have a look at the site, as you say, and you get the specifics of what they're asking for, it's quite a narrow focus. So I would challenge anyone that hasn't gone to their website to know it was as narrowly scoped as what you've just said, as opposed to everyone in the world just stop using oil as quickly as we can, because that's what the name means. So there
You just spray everything in orange.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Yeah, but apparently the logic behind the Stonehenge thing was based on the idea that Stonehenge at solstice is all about celebrating the natural world, and putting the orange paint on the stones was to highlight the state that the world is in right now due to fossil fuels.
That's a bit tenuous.
I personally think they need to go back to the drawing board with that one.
All right. Thanks, Kiwi Bird.
All right, cheers.
Awesome. We're kind of running up towards the end of the show, so let's just get a few quickies in there as well. Oopsie. Come on, move for me. Not moving for me, Kooky. There we go. I'll bring it down now. Kooky Nick in the house. Hello there. Hello, Kooky.
Oh, the mad scramble.
Come in, Kooky.
Go,
There we are. Hello.
You know, they could have done
Hey!
better and lit a bonfire at the right place for the sun rising on the solstice.
Oh, yeah. Because a bonfire is orange. So there you go.
Exactly.
And the world is on fire.
Paint stuff. Anyway, I'm here to talk about nursing.
Yep, go for it.
Cool.
So my partner's a third-year student, and she's currently interested in becoming a mental health nurse, which means she's entering on the NESP or the NESP scheme. I believe it's a bonding scheme across 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, yesterday's been a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Now, my partner is 8 months pregnant. We are going to have baby in the middle of her study, and I'm going to take a break from work.
Oh, nice.
So, when this news came out about this mid-year intake, or potentially there being no jobs for a mid-year intake, that's quite concerning to us because we were going to have 6 months off from the end of her degree before she went and started work. If that's not there, then that all gets pushed out. So I just want to also mention too, it sort of looks like they're trying to, what I would do, quote unquote, balance the workforce to try and push more of the new grads into the rest home and prison healthcare systems. Now, you don't get a lot of structured mentorship there. Most of them are burnt out, you know, or don't have a lot of staff capacity to do that kind of mentorship.
Yeah.
And I'll use my sister as an example. So my sister graduated in Taranaki. She didn't like the position she was offered under the NETP scheme because she was training to be a mainstream nurse. And so she went to work in healthcare. In rest home care. And she was there for 2 years, and she was doing quite well. With lots of issues. They asked her to become the managing nurse, basically, to elevate her to a position with only 2 years' experience. Great pay, but it would have all been on her at the age of 24.
Wow.
And without the mentorship and that sort of structure behind you early on, she defected from rest home care to a hospital, thankfully, where she got the much needed mentorship she needed to proceed in her career.
Cool.
And she said if she had taken that job, she could have potentially been in a situation where she didn't exactly have the experience she needed to deal with certain scenarios, and she would have been on the chopping block.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And just on a side note, I just had a look at the NZNO HNZ Collective Agreement 2024. Base entry salary is 75,773 as of April this year. The current entry salary, from what we've had a look at earlier today in Australia, is 85,000, so $10,000 different.
Oh yeah. Well, interesting. Hey, Nick, thanks so much for the support you give us as well, being around and being a part of what we do and being a long time person. It's always good to see you in the chat, so I really appreciate that as well.
Yeah, no problem.
All right,
Right,
Chewie.
have a good one.
All right, Nick. Thanks, mate.
Cheers,
All
buddy.
the best.
Cheers.
Okay, we're going to go through the last couple. Not to cut you guys short, but just because we're already, past an hour and a half. And I think Chewie, you officially turned into a pumpkin at hour 45. Is it right? Yep, just like that. So, g'day there, Lost Soul. Tell us what you want to tell us.
Good evening, boys. I just wanted to touch on the Just Stop Oil thing.
Yep.
I participated in my younger days in a raid on Dock Office to expose the secret pilots dropping 1080.
Yep.
I'm all for disruptive protests, but disrupt people who cause oil to come out the ground, like the executives of the oil firms, politicians, Why are you trying to destroy public works of art, ancient structures that have nothing to do with you or with anything, that just seem to piss off the general public?
Yeah.
That's my big thing. Like, actually go after people, targeted protests. Put a bloody spike in a tree if you don't want people to cut down trees. Go protest coal trains. Simple stuff like that. That's all I really wanted to say tonight.
All right, yeah, we're looking at a
Because you
photo
need
of
people
the,
on
of
your
the page.
side.
Yeah. And all they do is turn the public against them every time they go destroy something that the public loves, like the Mona Lisa or Stonehenge.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Lost. Thank you for that. Appreciate your
Not a
thoughts,
problem.
mate.
Enjoy your
Appreciate
night,
it.
boys.
Yep, you too.
Cheers, fella.
I believe the name is Plodbox. That sounds like an interesting name, doesn't it? Plodbox.
That's a good name.
Is that Plodbox?
Yeah, how you doing? Chucking some talkback staples there, a first time, long time, and all of that sort of.
Yep. First time caller, a long time listener. What's up?
Oh, exactly. I'm going to go ahead and throw out your premise about the Stonehenge, because I see it as a distraction. Really, I don't really care about it, to be honest.
Sure.
And instead, I'm going to talk about everyone's favourite excuse for a human being, David Seymour.
Our fave. Yep. Yep. Go for it, Plodbox. Tell us.
Have we lost him?
Oh, maybe. That's a shame. Sounds like we're going to end on a high, talking lovely, lovely, sweet nothings about David Seymour. Last chance. Plodback, you still there? I think we've lost him. Dude, I'm so sorry. We'll have to catch up with you next week, because the last one for the day is going to be Rajan. Rajan, good evening.
Kia ora, guys.
Kia ora.
How's it going?
Going good. Are you phoning up to apologise about all that time we're seeing you on Bomber's show in the chat? Is that what you're phoning about?
Yes, I'm sorry. I've been away. Although Chewy, I saw you were cheating on Pat over there as well the other night.
You fucking saw nothing.
I don't know about this. Jeez.
Just really quickly on the Just Stop Oil thing. Don't know, don't care. I think everyone else is pretty much covered. You know how ineffective they are. I want to talk really quickly about the US.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about the debate next week. Oh
yes.
my goodness.
Oh, the debate next week. What's
Yeah.
going on there?
Looking Trump versus Biden next week.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. Oh shit, I didn't know. That's really early.
Yeah, man.
We can find out such exciting topics as which flavor oatmeal the other one likes more than the other.
I wonder whose head is going to explode first.
It's going to actually be a really interesting debate, not to take over your call, Rajan, but because obviously all the people on the right are saying Joe Biden can't even stand up for 30 minutes, and you know, he's a feeble old man without a thought in his head, and that Trump is the strong one. And I actually think it's going to be quite telling. And I think the Democrats have called for this debate so early because they want to see if Joe Biden can actually do it. And if he can't, maybe there's still time to, has to pull out with a, health issue or something. But it's because
that is really interesting how early it is. It's usually only a month or two before the election.
I don't think they've ever had one, because Trump hasn't even been announced as the nominee yet, because that happens at the convention when you get made the nominee. He's the he's the presumptive nominee, but he's not the nominee.
I think both of them are.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to take over your call. What are you finding about?
Yes. Yeah. I assume you two are both familiar with APAC, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard about the primary candidates that they've been funding against the House progressives that have been calling for a ceasefire?
Not sure. Keep going.
So you know how there's the squad in Congress, like AOC, Cory Bush.
Yep.
Basically, most of them have called for a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza, of course. And AIPAC have committed to funding, I think, about $100 million towards primary challenges against them. And unfortunately, they seem to be winning at the moment. And the one that I'm focused on at the moment is Jamal Bowman. Do you know who he is?
No, not well.
He is a House progressive from New York who I believe got elected in 2020. and he has his primary coming up next week. And the last poll I saw, he was trailing his candidate, his primary challenger by about 17 points.
Right.
And so that primary I believe is on Wednesday for us. So yeah, that's gonna be a nail biter to watch.
Pro-Israeli Democrat will challenge US Representative Jamal Brown in the primary race for his congressional seat. Oh,
Yeah, his name is
next
George.
year.
His name is George Latimer.
Yeah, sorry, this is
Okay.
actually from December of last year, but it's the same story.
Mm.
Yeah, all right.
So that's
I'll
going to be a
give-
really
well-
interesting one for the that's your left and right of the Democrat Party in that area really showing their colours.
So that's your Labour Party and your Greens Party going head to head.
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah.
I'll just give you one anecdote about the George Latimer to let you know what he's like. So Jamal Bowman is black, if you see a picture of him. But he's kind of like light-skinned black person. George Latimer has been sending out mailers with pictures of Jamal Bowman where he has deliberately darkened his skin to make him look darker than he actually is.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's a Democrat. That's not a Republican. That's a Democrat.
Jesus.
Yeah. You'll be like, I don't know. Like, imagine if like a Labour Party candidate in one of the Murray seats released sent out a mailer where they darken the skin of a Te Party Murray candidate. That's effectively what's happening there.
Well, that's
Yeah. There you go. There's your daily update on the just dire state of the US.
Yep. Well, thanks for that, and I'm looking forward to, as I said, Roger, I'm looking forward to very much to the debate next week. It'll be on. Normally they're on like 1 o'clock in the afternoon our time. So Chewy, that's us. Now I've written down all 9 people that got through, including Plodbacks. I wrote him down as well, even though he fell off. So and I haven't written down numbers for them in the order we spoke to them. So pick a number 1 to 9.
Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7 is James. So James, you are the winner tonight. Email me bighairynews@gmail.com. Tell me what you want. If you just want a t-shirt, just tell me what t-shirt you want from the bhnshop.nz, and we will sort that out for you. If you'd like to buy a hoodie, then what I can do is I can make a little code that gives you a credit of $50, and then you can just apply that code to a purchase. But if you want to do that, you'll need to do it in the next sort of 18 hours, give or take. Let me also say it's been scrolling along the bottom of the screen for most of tonight's show. Thank you to all of our patrons. If you want to be a patron, we go to patreon.com/bighairynews, and you can see Kerri Nuku's interview was up there earlier in the week. We wrote a bit about Martima Davidson's announcement, and we engage with monthly meetups as well. There's probably one due next weekend, actually, for you guys who are currently part of this. This really helps us. This really genuinely does something that helps us pay bills. And, when there is a technical error or a glitch, something like you can see down here, we actually had to buy a new desk, and it was because of your support, the patron support, that we were able to get the desk and keep on trucking, as well as helping pay a few things. If you like what you've heard, if you want to support what we do, a way you can do it more permanently is patreon.com/bighairynews. Of course, if you buy anything off the merch store as well, that's helped us as well, but that's more of a one-off. So either way, we love you to bits. Anything else, Chewy? We're a bit late, aren't we? Dinner out tomorrow night?
Yep, dinner out tomorrow night.
Nice.
Celebrated my birthday last week, and I'm going to have another crack now because it's not against the law. No one can stop me. I'm going to leave tonight, and since we've been talking about Just Stop Oil and whys and wherefores and that sort of thing, just spotted this on Niwa's page. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine and good. And it's all good. Everything.
Is that above average? Is that what they are like?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're breaking temperature records. Keeps going up.
Keeps going
up. I think everything's fine. We could just keep selling coal. We should dig more coal out. We should get more international companies in to drill for oil out of the ocean. All fine. All good.
Thank you for your super chats. No oil billionaire is sitting there going, no, not Stonehenge, I'll do anything. That lady that sent a false invitation letter to oil tycoons was better from Tafari. Thank you for your super chat. Mr. Arvid says, reality check, F off Seymour, you 8% doorknob. Fair enough.
I haven't looked at his family tree, actually. Maybe he is 8% doorknob.
James says for $5, thank you for your super chat. We know the health system was in dire state in 2019, the reason for the lockdown response to the outbreak of COVID. It's only gotten worse since then. Thank you very much for your super chat. Kiwi Bird, forget C tier. This coalition is F tier. The F stands for, well, use your information, says Kiwi Bird. Thank you for the super chat. Jackson Media says, sounds more like a Trump government as each day passes. Appreciate super chat. And finally, from Frosty, Chewy, there's $2 for your webcam. So, I think actually, you know what? I think we've just found a viable business opportunity, Chewy. If you just keep breaking down each night with your stuff, people just keep donating a few bucks here and there.
It's just my unwillingness to completely shut down one of the video games that I play. That's what the problem is. So every time I crash out, it's because I didn't shut that down properly. There we go. Right. I own it.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Pick up the news. Big headed style.
Oh, Pat, I did find out today.
Yeah.
That you need to change where someone's name is on this. You need to
I know. I actually got to go
the correct one.
I actually got to go through this weekend and put a bunch of people around. I actually think some people have hurt my heart, but they've stopped being patrons. I have to take some people off as well. So that'll be one of my jobs for the weekend to get it all sorted out. So if you're in the wrong place right now, I apologize. But Chewy, you should text me and tell me so I can definitely check it. Definitely check it.
From the Cape to Bluff, no place too far. Expose the truth and raise the bar. Politicians tremble at their mighty voice. And shoe, they'll make the right choice.
Thanks, team. Appreciate you tonight. Appreciate you being on board. Thanks to all the people that phoned through. That was great fun. Having a bit of a talkback show tonight towards the end there. All these lovely people are our patrons. If you want to be a part of that, patreon.com/Big Hairy News. Last chance as well this evening for you to get yourself some buffer merch to support the Cancer Society and triple up on your donation that comes with that, thanks to what we put in. And then also one of our viewers has said they'll match the donation as well. Other than that, have a great weekend. Be safe. We'll see you Monday night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hairy News. Anything from you, Chewy?
No, that's me. Have a good weekend. Be nice to each other.
Hooroo.
Cheers, fam.